If you're a gardener, you know the feeling.
Yeah.
That constant struggle. The most time-consuming part isn't the planting, is it?
No, it's the weeding. That relentless back-breaking battle against weeds. It can really, take the joy out of it.
What if there was a solution that wasn't a chemical, wasn't hours of work, but was actually a plant?
Yeah.
A beautiful plant that does the job for you.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at one very specific, very cool species, the yellow walking iris. Its scientific name is Trimezia steyermarki.
It has the look of a classic iris, but it's got the work ethic of a full-time groundskeeper.
It really does.
So our mission today is a little unusual. It's built around one person's observation, a very dedicated gardener who noticed something. Well, something extraordinary.
And we're going to use that observation to figure out the definitive answer. Is this plant really a kind of living natural mulch? And if it is, what are the biological mechanics that make it work so well?
For you, the goal here is to get past just gardening tips and folklore.
Right. We want to give you the precise knowledge of why it works, so you can turn what looks like just a pretty flower into a real strategic decision for your own garden. It could completely change your maintenance routine.
And the source material that kicked all this off is, well, it's the perfect example of how amazing insights can come from the most unexpected places.
Yeah, it's not a university thesis or anything like that.
It's from the personal notes of a hobbyist,
Yeah.
a man named Ang, who actually calls himself an old software plumber.
Which is such a great analogy when you think about it. A software plumber is someone who understands these really complex systems, right? They fix things by spotting tiny hidden patterns in the code.
And he brings that exact same meticulous attention to his garden. His notes are called Notes on Gardening. And this specific entry, it's part 766.
Part 766.
Yeah. That number alone tells you about the level of dedication we're talking about here.
Absolutely. So Aang was just going about his day. The notes say he takes these regular photo walks through his local neighborhoods.
Just detours, on the way to the grocery store or plant nursery. He wasn't on a mission to find a weed solution. He was just looking, observing what was doing well.
And he kept noticing this one plant. The yellow walking iris, it was flourishing in all these different gardens under different conditions. And that consistency, that's what made him curious.
Exactly. And that leads to the key moment. The source describes him taking shelter from a quick rain shower.
And instead of just, standing there scrolling on his phone, he kneels down. He gets a really close ground level look at the base of these iris clumps.
That's the moment, isn't it? When simple looking becomes active research.
And what he saw was just undeniable. His notes say the ground beneath these established plants was, and I'm quoting here, completely bare.
He even highlights it. Not a single weed in sight, even when the lawns or other flower beds right next to them were a total mess.
That's the kind of observation that just stops a gardener cold.
Right. A plant that's both beautiful and creates its own little pristine weed-free zone. That changes everything. It's not just about aesthetics anymore. It's about function.
Which leads right to the big question he asked himself in his notes. Is this plant, the Trimezia steyermarki, an effective landscape plant you can use as living mulch?
And what did he conclude?
A definitive yes. Based on what he saw and what he read afterwards, he says it is an absolutely excellent choice for suppressing weeds. But, and this is a big but, there's a crucial detail in there.
It's about time, isn't
It is entirely about time. This whole weed-suppressing magic, it only really kicks in once the plants are completely established. This isn't a quick fix.
So that's the first major takeaway for anyone listening. If you want to use this, you need to be patient.
Precisely. You need to give it time, probably 2 or 3 growing seasons, to really mature and colonize the area you've planted it in.
And that's where the walking part of its name comes from.
Right. Exactly. It spreads with rhizomes, these underground stems, so it steadily walks across the ground, putting down new roots and sending up new shoots. Until that process is totally complete, you'll still get some weeds popping through.
But once that system is fully up and running,
the maintenance just plummets. It's a huge drop-off.
So it's an investment of time up front for a massive payoff and reduced labor later on.
That's the deal. And the very fact that Eng saw it thriving in so many different gardens tells you something else.
It's tough.
It's robust. It's not some fussy, delicate plant that needs perfect soil or constant watering. Its adaptability is what makes it such a great candidate for a low-maintenance solution.
Okay, so we know it works.
Yeah.
Let's get into the mechanism. How does this iris actually pull off this this botanical coup. It has to be more than just making a bit of shade.
It is. It's a brilliant biological one-two punch that weeds just can't seem to handle. The source material really breaks it down to two connected factors.
The factor one, let's call it the muscle.
The muscle, I like that. The Trimezia steyerma grows in these incredibly dense, lush clumps. We're talking thick, concentrated foliage above ground and a really dense root system just below, a formidable mass.
And these clumps, they don't just stay as little islands.
No, as the rhizomes do their walking, the clumps start to merge together. The key idea to visualize here is that they form a seamless ground cover.
Like a living woven mat.
Exactly, a tightly woven fabric that basically seals off the soil.
And that seamless mat is the first line of defense. It's physical outcompetition.
Right. When the iris gets that dense, there's literally no physical space left for a rival weed to even start. A dandelion seed lands there. There's no room for its taproot to get a foothold. The iris has physically claimed every single inch.
That's the brute force, the physical barrier. So what's the second part of the punch?
The second part is the strategy. This is what makes it so much more than just a dense plant. It's the sophisticated way it blocks sunlight.
Okay, so if the foliage is that thick and that seamless, it must be starving the soil underneath of light. What does that do to all those dormant weed seeds just waiting for their chance?
It means they never get the signal to germinate. And this is the real deep dive insight. Many weed seeds have these photoreceptor systems.
They can sense light.
They can sense the quality of the light. They're waiting for direct sunlight to hit the soil, which is their signal that says, okay, clear ground, time to grow.
But the iris canopy prevents that.
It does more than that. The light that filters through the dense leaves of the iris changes. It sends a different signal to the phytochrome system in those seeds. The signal basically says, hey, warning, someone is already growing up here. It's too shady. Stay dormant, because if you germinate now, you'll be outcompeted and you will die.
Wow. So it's not just a passive block, it's an active biological warning sign. Don't even try it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about regular mulch like wood chips. Over time, it moves around, right? Gaps appear, light gets through, or it just decomposes.
Right, you have to keep topping it up.
But this iris is a living system. It's constantly growing, constantly reinforcing itself, and maintaining that do not germinate light signal all year round.
Yeah.
It's a self-regulating barrier.
That synergy is just incredible. But let me play devil's advocate for a second. If you're a landscape planner and you create this perfect, seamless, permanent ground cover, isn't that a problem later?
What do you mean?
Well, what if you want to add a new plant into that bed? Or you need to amend the soil. You've basically created this dense, living blanket that you can't get through.
That is an excellent and very practical question. And yes, it is dense, but it's not concrete.
Okay.
It's still biological material. You're right. It's definitely harder than planting in bare soil.
Yeah.
But you can carefully part it. You can cut sections of the rhizomes back to make space for new plantings.
So it's manageable.
It's a planned maneuver. And the cool thing is, once your new plant is in, the iris just grows back around it, acting as a protective border, keeping its base clear of any other rivals. So you're doing one planned task, not fighting a constant chaotic battle against weeds.
That makes sense. It's still an asset, not an obstacle. So let's bring this back to the practical application for you, the listener. We have the mechanism, physical crowding plus active light manipulation.
Yeah.
What does that mean for how you should design your garden?
It means you have to stop thinking of this plant as just a pretty flower.
An ornamental.
Yes, it becomes a permanent green living replacement for all that labor and expense of traditional mulch.
And if you do the cost analysis, it's pretty compelling. Wood chips, straw, you have to buy it and spread it every single year. It's continuous cost and continuous labor.
Whereas the Trimezia steyerma is a one-time investment. You plant it, you give it time, and then your maintenance shifts from that endless weeding and spreading to maybe just some occasional deadheading. It's a system built for sustainability.
It's the ultimate low-maintenance solution for those spots that are just chronic weed traps.
For sure.
And all of this brings us back to Aang, the old software plumber kneeling in the rain. What I love about his notes is that this amazing insight wasn't just a lucky accident.
No, it was the result of systematic observation. A software plumber doesn't just look at the final website or app. They're constantly looking at the underlying system, right? Or how it's performing, where the failure points are.
He applied that same troubleshooting logic. He noticed a variable, the iris, and he correlated it with a consistent outcome, the bare ground.
He was using the logic of code to understand the patterns of biology.
And that, I think, is the real takeaway for you, beyond this one specific plant. the ability to find these game-changing practical insights. It doesn't usually come in a flash of genius.
It comes from a long, diligent practice of just observing and documenting what you see and testing it over a long period of time.
Eng's notes are the perfect proof of this. It's not just gardening. The source shows he keeps these incredibly detailed notes on a ton of stuff.
Oh, yeah, he says notes on photography, notes on fish keeping.
And notes on multiple programming languages.
Yeah.
Like Elixir, Python, Haskell, really complex stuff.
The common thread there isn't the subject, is it? It's not gardening or coding.
No. It's the rigor of the observation. To get to part 766 in anything, you have to be consistent. You have to log the details. You have to look closely at what's working and what's failing.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. We've figured out the utility of the yellow walking iris. It's an established, light-blocking, living ground cover, a huge garden asset.
But now think about the process. Think about Eng's commitment. Where in your life, your job, or even your hobbies could you start that same practice, that continuous small-scale observation and documentation?
And what profound game-changing insights are you maybe missing right now just because you haven't started logging your own part 1?
It's something to mull over. We'll see you on the next deep dive.